the more diversity we have, like in our dances, just makes us better dancers. So if you can dance, like I think for me at least, like my focus is so in salsa and cha-cha and everything, all the styles associated with that. Like I can do a little bit of bachata and a little bit of zouk, and like at one stage Alex was teaching me a little bit of tango, and it's so nice to have other styles, but it just complements you as a person and as a dancer. So the more diversity we have, I think the better.
Yeah, I found a real new love, I guess, for tango, because I think it feeds that technical monster in me. It's like, it's so technical, tango. So Carlos has taught me a little bit. And of course we did our routine Copa last year, which has the tango element to it. And it was a really nice challenge. And I'm like, let's do more of that. I think we're going to give our students a little treat of that every now and then with some workshops too. So it's such a beautiful style. Yeah.
Have you done it? Like, have you gone out and done tango?
No, I haven't. I'm not at that level. I need some more skills first before. But I would love to at least go and see some social. And I think there's quite a lot in Melbourne. There's a big tango scene here. So
really,
I know we have some very high level tango dancers here too. I think her name is Marseille, and she's competed at some of the world championships in tango, and she's teaching here. So on my to-do list of, when we need more inspiration, or always need it, go and do something different like that. Yeah.
100%. When I was talking about Alex said, how many people in the professional division at a salsa competition for salsa? Oh, I don't know, like maybe 20 or something like that. And he's like, tango has thousands of people enter the same division. And I was like, what?
Yeah.
Like, it's a huge entity. And like, I'm so ignorant to it because it's not in our circle.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Well, I've only sort of had my eyes open to it since working with Carlos, and it's, it's such a huge part of their culture over there. And we watch a lot of YouTube of their competitions that they have, and it's incredible to watch, like incredible. And I think that it's like you're treated like royalty if you win. And I believe if you win, you're actually not allowed to then compete again. It's kind of like your ultimate. You're like the king of the kings.
I think they make you a judge.
Probably, yeah. Probably.
Yeah, they have like a really diverse judging panel. They have a very like all the people competing are from all over the world. Like a lot of countries represent. It's really well done. I think. I don't know how long they've been doing it for, but it seems to run.
We live in this little bubble of thinking we're in this massive world of dance, and in reality, it's just like a little speck of the spectrum of what dance is. But I think if we keep taking influence from that and dipping our toes in that circle, as you said before, so it's nice seeing the styles, and even in salsa, seeing stuff sort of switch over. And I think it's Rodrigo Cortázar speaks a lot about the influences from different styles coming into salsa, which is really exciting and important knowledge, I think.
I did a workshop with him in Italy, and he was talking about the influence of jazz and the influence of swing and the influence of rock that all shaped mambo.
Yeah.
Like through the, that's like astonishing. He's like an encyclopedia of salsa knowledge. I'm supposed to interview him. I spoke to him at the workshop and I was like, hey, I'd love to chat with you. And he's like, yeah, man, sure, no worries. So I should do that because he's like a wealth of knowledge.
I think you should do that. And it would be a hilarious interview because he is such a character, that guy. He's very, very funny.
When I did this workshop with him, because his style, like you're familiar with his style, he's so light, so gentle with his frame. He's in a way, he's like the opposite of Sousa style, which is a strong, like almost competition style, in my opinion. It's very strong frame, and I don't want to say rough, but it's powerful. It's a really powerful style. And when Rodrigo taught a workshop at Sousa Academy, Rodrigo style, with his light hands and like spiderweb light movements, the Sousa students were like, "Oh, this is really different. Like, what's going on?" And it was a concept for them. Like, I was fortunate because I've done workshops with him before, but he's a really charismatic and very energetic, and like he had like all of them laughing. Like he's a really cool guy. I have a lot of time for him.
I think
learn from him.
yeah, to work with him some more. And I agree with you, and that's someone I'd like to work with in terms. He's lightning fast, and I always admired him and Bercy, because Bercy's quite tall with long arms, like me. She's one of the few women that kind of has a taller frame like me. And I'm just like, how do they move that fast? It's incredible.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
I do change with Ju and Huffer, the Zouk teachers here, and so I teach salsa and they teach me Zouk, which has been really nice because it's allowed me to step into that world a little bit. But it's so interesting how different it is to salsa. So I'm saying to them, like you have to do it like this because it's linear. You have to make it like that way because there's a structure, and like there's like rules. There's rules to like what we're doing. And then I ask them questions about Zouk, and I'm like, "Oh, can I do this?" And they're like, "Yeah." We don't recommend, but you can do it. We don't like to say you can't do anything. You can do whatever you want. Like they don't to restrict anything that you're doing. They're like anything that you can invent. If they can make it work, no worries. Even if it's like not traditional or like classic Zouk, they're like, yeah, we can do that. Yeah, no worries. Like it's so free.
Super interesting. Yeah, I like the fact that we have structure, and I think it's important. But sometimes I think, I'm speaking from personal experience, I think that structure or that way of doing things really can get in the way sometimes of your creativity. So I think it's nice to have a balance, even within salsa. Of course, you need to stick to your foundations and your fundamentals steps, but it's like, how can we make that a little bit different? I think it's the same thing I do in musicality. It's like my musicality class, I kind of say, don't worry about the technique, don't worry about the timing, don't worry. I just sort of let them clear their mind, because sometimes I think when they're like, I have to do this step on this, they become very limited with their imagination. So I think it's nice sometimes to clear the slate and be like, let's see what happens, and experiment a little bit and go with the music. So I admire that the Zouk guys are sort of saying, you can make it work. I think you could do the same in salsa. Like, how could we make it work within this structure? Maybe, I don't know.
It's become interesting to try and move in that direction, and I think it moves in that direction a lot in Europe. Like I was dancing with people and seeing people dance, and the way they lead things, and the way that there's people operating on like another level. There's a really cool dancer from Czech Republic in Prague, Marian, and this guy got such cool moves, like things that you would never think of doing. Like, and I picked his brain like at a social one weekend, and I was like, bro, like you have to show me he's doing like the most obscure things, but like, yeah, he really makes it work. It's really impressive. It's really impressive to watch. I would love to do more stuff like that. So I think it's happening for some.
You have to wonder about their kind of way of doing things. Like, they must have a obsession with social dancing, you know? I think that's the way that they have, like, there's certain people that love performance, but there's other people that just obsessed with social or like moves or whatever it is. So I think that's
cool. A person who's done a lot in that direction is Super Mario. Like Super Mario's like, I feel like he's really up to date, or he's stayed relevant, even though he's been doing it for so long. And he creates, in my opinion, he creates the best social dancers in the world. His structure for teaching social dancing, taking someone from a beginner who's never done basic steps before to an advanced level dancer on two, I think he's the best at it. Like when I was at last year, like it's really impressive. Yeah,
no, he's great, and he's a lovely guy too, which is so nice to see someone in the industry been there since day one and still going really well, which is awesome.
It's really nice to be a part of it too. So when I went, I've been to his school a couple of times before last year, but the guy that I traveled with last year, my friend Riley, he'd never been before, and like I feel like Mario's got like a bit of he likes to humble people sometimes. He likes to to bring him down a peg, and it was probably like a normal class for them, but for Riley it was so overwhelming. Because he'll dictate, demonstrate. He'll just say, cross body turn, double turn for the follower, double turn for the leader, double inline turn, or something like that, and they can just do it like robots, like military style. Like everything timing wise is perfect. All their turns are on point, and like if it's your first time experiencing that, you're like, oh my god, what's going on? Like they're speaking another language. It's really nice. You adapt really quickly to it. I think it's good. Yeah.
I think that's like people coming into our Shines classes sometimes. They come in and we're yelling out Shines moves that a lot of our students have heard for a long time. And other people come in like, what is happening? What is this craziness that's going on? So, yeah.
Do you feel like you have like a syllabus at a fundamental level that all operate with the same names and the same, like, is identified the same way?
So do we? Is that what you said?
And do you feel like we have? I feel like Zouk have it.
Yeah.
Zouk have like their fundamental moves are all called the same thing. But in salsa, you have like inline cross, aggressive left turn, like simple, like all these different names for the same thing. It just depends on which school you go to.
Like, look, I think that would be. I don't know how it would ever happen, but I think it would be helpful. However, when we're teaching we've tried to align our syllabus based on some of the people like Adolfo Indocochea and people that I admire and respect, to sort of try to use terminology that he would use and that I've heard of, not just him, of course, but a lot of other people that use similar things. Try to sort of align it based upon those people that I respect. But having said that, when we teach, sometimes we will mention. Sometimes it can be called this, I try to say why we call it things as well. Like I try to when we've named things or we have chosen to go with certain ways of calling things, we sort of choose. Get my words out now. Sorry. Things that make sense. So it's like why we choose to call it this, if that makes sense. Yeah. So it's like instead of saying inside turn, I'm like, is it an inside turn when you're turning on the other side of the leader's body? Suddenly it's not an inside turn, it's an outside turn for the follow. So it's like choosing language that makes sense.
It's one of my biggest, I think I can call it that, a pet peeve, because I feel like the names of salsa moves are named after what the follower's doing, because of the follower's footwork. So if a leader is on the left side of the follower and they do an inline turn, if they go onto the other side of the follower's line, it's still an inline turn. It's not an outside or inside, dependent on where the leader is. It should be the follower's what the move is. That's the only thing that's consistent.
Yeah. But, I'm not sure how we would ever get to that point. It is, when I explain salsa to other people that have come from other, or for example, I was talking to someone that does jiu-jitsu the other day. It's like, how do you score moves and like base things? Like they just seem to have such a clear sort of identifier. This gets you these points. And I'm like, ours is a lot more, subjective in a sense.